What's going on, Drinking Buddies? Brand new podcast coming right at you, but you know what we got to do first. We got to talk about the things that generate a little revenue for the show. First and foremost, we are brought to you by the Patreon. That's right. If you somehow didn't know, there is a Patreon for this podcast. It's actually just my personal Patreon, so there's other things besides the Now We Drink content. Random stuff I shoot, personal musings, other weird videos at patreon.com/MattSlayer. For a very low tier, you can get the ad-free audio. If you're sick of hearing me do ad reads, get the ad-free audio on Patreon. Get the whole video back catalog. Get the uncensored video versions all on Patreon at patreon.com/MattSlayer. We are also 1 week away from my vasectomy. Do you want to help save the world? Do you want to make sure I don't procreate? Help me fund this motherfucker at ANWD.net/snipped. And even if you're unable to financially contribute, just share the GoFundMe. Let people know it exists. I am trying to raise some vasectomy awareness in the post-Roe v. Wade world, so I feel this is a good way to do it, and helps me pay for the procedure. Once again, at ANWD.net/snipped. I'm really hoping that the doctor's going to let the procedure get filmed and have that all up shortly after the procedure, depending on how I'm feeling. But we are 1 week away. Last but not least, the absolute easiest way to support the show is twofold. One, tell your friends, retweet, repost clips. Just let people know the show exists. It's really that easy. Costs you nothing but a little bit of your time, and I appreciate the hell out of you for it. The other way, also almost as easy. Go to youtube.com/nowwedrink and subscribe. That's it. Costs you nothing. More people that are subscribed to the YouTube, more the YouTube algorithm picks us up and shows the show to more people. I'd appreciate the hell out of you for it, Drinking Buddies. Let's get on with the show. My guest this week is Max Fleuret, founder of Dilgo. Dilgo is a wild new adult toy company. The video version is really the best way to consume this episode, just because the descriptions of these toys don't do them justice. But Max and I talk about his transition from the gaming industry into the adult toy industry. We talk about travel, French cuisine, typical and Now We Drink fashion. The episode goes all over the place. So sit back, relax, pop a cold one, and enjoy, Drinking Buddies. Max, what the fuck's going on? Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm super new to all this, so that should be fun.
Oh shit, having me in front of a camera and do the media mogul shit.
I know. It's freaky.
So you brought Pastis?
Yes, so this is the official French liquor for the summertime. Everybody drinks that. It's awesome. It's a specialty of Marseille where you play pétanque, an old sport that I even built a court in front of my house, just to have my little part of France over there, and we drink that all summer long. And it's pretty good.
Well, let me get my initial reaction on camera.
Don't fail me.
Interesting. It reminds me of
It's anise based.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Fernet, a little bit. Maybe no. I'm thinking of someone else. Maybe a little bit like chartreuse.
Yeah, I mean, we do pretty much everything with the same plants and stuff. It's just monks getting drunk in the mountain, and it'll be all right, we're just gonna do this because we're not supposed to drink beer or something. So make some hard liquor.
I don't know why God's oh no, beer's not good, but
yeah, we're good with that. They got their own ways of doing stuff.
So antiquated. It's at this point but it is not bad. I'm always down to try new liquors.
Yeah. I mean, and this one is the good stuff.
Hell yeah.
You can find that at Monsieur Marcel, in the Grove or something. It's pretty expensive, but I think it's worth it. Instead of paying the import and shipping and everything, I'll be all right, let's just go there, get a big case of it, and that lasts me the whole year.
Nice. Yeah, I would rather just go to France and bring some back with me.
Could do that.
Slightly more expensive route, but
I don't know. Like maybe with like the shipping and like everything, like the exchange rate, like it's not that bad. And bring other stuff, like,
and plus you get to go to France for a little while.
That too, but I don't know. Like French are assholes, so that's why I left.
I didn't have any bad experiences there, but I was only there for like a day. So
yeah.
Most of the Parisians I encountered, as long as I attempted some French, were pretty cool.
Yeah, Persian, they're like their own breed, I would say. Like, I got some friends that are like from Paris, and they're like making fun of me because like I'm kind of like from the countryside. It's like, oh, you guys like even like running water and shit. I'm like, really? Like, yeah. But other than that, like, yeah, it's pretty nice. Like my parents are living like in the Alps. It's like super nice. So you get like, I don't know, like skiing resort, like 30 minutes drive and like stuff like that. It's like it's pretty
nice.
But there's not much jobs like for me like over there, so that's why I moved like to California like I don't know, like 10 years ago or something, and been living there since then. Like met my girlfriend here too, so it's been like it's been good.
Do you miss it at all, or?
I miss some of the food, yeah, like mostly the food, but not much like the people and like stuff like that. And miss like healthcare and all that kind of shit, but.
Healthcare? What's healthcare?
Nah, it's like you're not supposed to know. Like,
okay.
It's like a little secret that we have, like in Europe and like in some countries. Like it's pretty good, but we keep that secret like well guarded.
One of these days we'll figure it out. Maybe. I
don't know.
See, all we need is just someone to bomb us and bomb our cities into rubble, and then like, oh, we got to provide for all our people when we rebuild society.
Would they do that though?
Probably not.
Probably not.
I
mean, we've seen like what's going on right now, so it'd be like, yeah.
At time of recording, Roe vs. Wade was just overturned.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, here in California, we can still freely cream pie people.
Indeed, but it's still like pretty fucked up. Like when you like think of like it, like I mean, on like our Twitter, like the only thing that I was like doing, I told my girlfriend to be like, she was like, oh, should we like post something or whatever? And I was like, the only thing I want to post is just saying like fuck off, like. And she wrote like something a little bit more like eloquent, but like that was my first thought. I was like, how is this like so backward and like everything? So
it's fucked. It's absolutely fucked. And I don't want to bring down the mood even more to get really deep in the woods about it, but it's just like, come on, guys, really? This has been how it's been for 50 years, and like, we're just going to take a giant leap backwards.
Yeah.
It's unreal. But I'm doing my part. I'm getting a vasectomy, so...
good for you.
I don't want kids. This way I'm going to make sure I don't have kids.
Yeah, like, we're kind of like the same boat with like my girlfriend. Like, we're not married. We've been together for like 9 years or something. And yeah, we're just like good, and we don't really need like to like build a family. And we say like we're not kind of like ready yet. So it'd be like, yeah, we're doing our own thing, our own time, and we'll see what happens. Like, but yeah, there's like no pressure. But we wanted to like kind of like move to like maybe Utah or something, and now we're like, fuck.
Why Utah?
Well, because we like to travel and like like check like a lot of like landscapes and like stuff, and we got an RV and just like doing like little trips like that, like left and right, like on the weekend. And we've like worked from home with our 2 jobs that now we're like totally remote. That's like kind of like a nice place, because I think that we're like seeing everything in California at this point. So we're like, all right, let's move like to that spot, and we can like move like faster between like Zion, Bryce, and then like seeing like I don't know, other landscape that we haven't visited yet. And now we're like, well, okay, now she would probably be in prison because she's like got a IUD or whatever. So.
Right. I guess move to Eastern Washington. You can at least shoot down that way, and Washington should be good.
Yeah, I don't know. So now we're like, maybe like Northern California, or like stay on that coast, but not like going to like cuckoo country and like see what's going on.
I mean, we're crazy in our own way, but
yeah, but not that bad.
No, just our gas prices. I can't imagine trying to run an RV right now. Fuck.
Well, but now we don't travel for work, so it's be like, because we used to do like I don't know, like 40-minute, an hour commute like every day. So
fuck that.
I know. And like I got a motorcycle because I was like, I cannot handle just being stuck in traffic. So I was like, okay, I'm either die or like I ride cheap. So like so far I didn't die. So knock on wood.
Max, I hate to break it to you. You're dead. This is hell.
Shit. I don't know. It's pretty good to me, like right now.
So you think.
I mean, yeah, it's been like downhill for like a few years at this point, but like, Can't always think it could be worse. It's getting worse, but we'll see.
It could be worse. They'll prove it. They will find a way to prove it to us.
Indeed.
As we're like, oh, this is going to be a fun show, as we just talk about the decline of
Yeah,
society.
I'm just like brought like the heavy subject like right away. I was like, I'm not going to bring it up. I don't want to keep it like light and everything. And it's like, well, here we go. But at least now it's out of the way.
It's out of the way, and you're doing your part to help improve the world. You're bringing sex toys to the masses.
I'm trying. But yeah, I mean, I was like, I need to like do something to like make like people happy and like everything. And that was kind of like my thing. I was like, I've been sculpting for like 15 years at this point, and I did like a bunch of like big like AAA game studios and everything. And you know, there's like ups and downs, and with all the like the crunching and like that stuff where you don't feel like really rewarded, or like some people get like credited for your work and like everything. I'm like, I think I'm good enough to just like go on my own and try to do my own like little stupid thing, even if that doesn't make as much cash or like whatever. At least I'll kind of like be free, and like, yeah, it will be me like out to like the public. And if like people like it, like that's even better.
Well, you can't put a price point on fucking happiness.
I know. And that's what I was saying. It's like I was earning like good money, but I was going back home like at like every day at like 11, like midnight, and just like mad. And yeah, I had like to like pretty much like drink myself to sleep just to like go the next day and then like crunch again for like, yeah, we did that for like a year and a half on like the last project.
Well, yeah, I thought drinking yourself to sleep was like the default for the French.
The what? Sorry.
The default. I thought that's just how French society works.
I know, we bitch a lot. That's how it works. Now we bitch, we strike, and then stuff gets better. But yeah, you will never see like companies work like in the US. Like it's kind of like crazy that like here you have like, yeah, they bring you all the stuff like for you. Like you feel kind of like a superstar when you get hired like in the US. Like when I got here, I was like, holy shit. Like they had a guy with like, you know, the little sign with my name on it, like pick me up from the airport and just be like, here you go, like we're gonna bring you to your hotel room and like everything. And I was be like, that's pretty nice, because like when you get a job in France, like at best you have like a coffee machine and you have to like pay for it, and here you have like full on stock kitchen and like everything. But at the same time, it's kind of like a prison. Like they want you to be comfortable, stay there, and kind of like, yeah, you're like miserable, but like you're happy kind of thing.
So as they slowly boil you, you don't realize that you're being boiled alive.
Yeah, you're like, oh, it's cool. Like once in a while, I got a glass, or like I get like free game or like something. And it would be like, yeah. And I just, the more I was doing it, the more I discovered it was not like super worth it, and just like keeping having like health problems, like, you know, like carpal tunnel and like stuff, and like nobody really gave a shit. And like some friends, yeah, they had to like stop working, get like injections, and just do like a fucking stupid game. So yeah, I was like, that's not worth like all that trouble and just like your health and like everything. Like
I wholeheartedly agree. I never worked in gaming, but I definitely worked in corporate America for a while, and it was like, yeah, this is hell. This is, I don't understand how this is someone's goal in life.
Yeah, it is like, it is a nice prison, but then like everything that they do around like games, and like when you see like making ofs and like stuff, like it's all marketing just to like appeal. And there's like so many kids that want to get into that industry that like it doesn't matter. Like they just like roll and roll and roll, and they get like always like new people who want to work there, like no matter what, even if it's like a shit show. But yeah, they just like have those people that stay at the company for like 10 years and like kind of like call them like leeches, because they're there. They become like more and more useless, and they kind of like drain like the spirit and like the will of like younger guys that want to do something, but like they're like, no, we're just here, we're shitty, and we just like don't change anything. So it just like drains every like creative aspect to like a lot of people. So like the new blood leaves, old people stay, and it just like keeps going. It's like a circle. Like
the old people, I'm assuming, just get complacent, and they're just afraid to go out into the world and make changes. And
yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just like they do the exact same games because that's what sells, and like they don't really try to like anything like different. And I mean, I was much more creative when I was like fresh out of school. I had like all those like crazy ideas and stuff, and that would never fly at like a big studio. They're like thinking like, yeah, we need to like sell this amount of copies and like whatnot. Like
add in all the transactions they can.
Oh no, fuck that. Like at least I didn't work on like a game company that was like super heavy focused on like microtransaction and all that kind of stuff. That was more like story driven. So at least, yeah, like I didn't have to like churn on new assets like every week, because like people that are in those kind of games, they don't stop. Like the game ships, but it's just the beginning of just like having more and more and more and more and more.
I mean, there's a reason GTA Online is made through 3 generations of consoles.
I know, and we still again get like the 6th one, and I'm like crazy.
But why would they? How many people are they going to lose when GTA 6 if people's GTA Online stuff doesn't transfer over?
Yeah, I know. They make so much more money. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, GTA Online at this point has essentially become an MMO. They just got to keep patching it.
Yeah, it's bad, but that's what sells. So it's kind of like power to the people. Just stop buying like crap. Like,
but GTA Online's fun as long as you're not dealing with hackers or trolls.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm too old now to play online games. I'll just be like, I just want my like, my weekend like adventure game or whatever, like 10 to 12 hours, and I'm like be immersed in like a story and just be done. Like,
what games are you playing?
Well, the last big one that I played, I just said like 10 to 12 hours, but I lied because I played Elden Ring, which took me like maybe like 200 hours, which like is like the game that I probably spent the most time in like the last like 5 years or something. Like, that's kind of like fantastic. I kind of hated it at first because you get like those like old kind of like gameplay ideas and like stuff, and like the UI is terrible. But then you get into it and I'm like, okay, like now I get it why it's like amazing, because like the art, like for me, kind of look like shit, but they have so much that you're like, okay, I give them a pass because they had like so much work to do and there's like so many content. And I'm like, it's kind of crazy that they even did that. Like,
yeah, FromSoft has done some great stuff. They've gotten so many people to get on board with just basically being masochists.
It's great. Like, yeah, like the last one, I was never into like, yeah, like the Dark Souls games because I always thought like the art was like kind of iffy and like press gen, everything was glowy and like super wet and like whatever. Like the art direction is good, but the execution was pretty bad. And now it's like flawless, kind of like, yeah, I can take all that away and just like enjoy the game and just be like, I even told my girlfriend, oh, you need to like play and like make your like weird characters. And
see, I never got into those games just because like I'm not into something that's going to punish me constantly.
It's not that bad.
Everything I've ever seen says otherwise.
Yeah, okay, so it starts like that, where you get like punished and you're like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, it is terrible. But they have like, at least in that one, they have like so many ways of like making you progress without like feel like a chore. Like, you know, you just like get your ass kicked like 20 times by that guy, or you just move to like another area and you play there, and then you discover that actually that's like where you're supposed to be and not like to this dude. And then you make your own adventure, and then when you're like strong enough, you come back and then you kick his ass. So you feel like much better and accomplished. Like,
I may have to check it out at some point. I have some friends that really enjoy it. It's just as I said, everything I've seen is just like, oh, that looks punishingly hard. And the only thing that I played in recent memory that was really hard that I kind of enjoyed was Cuphead. So,
dude, that one is like brutally hard. Like, I tried to play with a friend of mine. Like, we couldn't even beat it. We're like, give up. Like, I'm done.
Honestly, playing it 2-player makes it harder.
Yeah, but still, like, we're like, like, it's too much.
Well, and the thing about it with Cuphead was I had so much fun with it, like playing it with a friend, that it was just like, and every time you lost, you're like, oh no, I think I know what I did. I got this. Like, it psychologically tricked me into keep playing it.
Yeah, it's like one of those things that was just like you get addicted by like dying, and it'll be like, okay, but next time, like, we know the timing of this, and then like you still fucking die. It's like an infinite circle of just like misery and like dying.
But very beautiful misery.
Yeah, no, it was gorgeous. But yeah, like Returnal is like one of the latest one as well that kind of like play into that kind of like gameplay. Like, was pretty good as well. Like, I need to go back to it because I hated like the fact that you couldn't save like between like plays.
Oh, that sucks.
So yeah, so you had to like dedicate like 3 hours of your life and leave the console on because you couldn't like stop and like save your progress. So it'd be like, cool. Like, it was not super user friendly, but I think they fixed that now.
I hope so. I fucking hope so. That reminds me of like way back in the day playing on like the original PlayStation when me and my broke friends didn't have memory cards.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, oh, we can't actually save progress because we don't have memory cards. I guess we're just not turning it off. Fuck.
Yep, that happened to me like when I bought like my PS2 way back then. Like, I didn't have enough money to get the memory card that like when it came out. So I just had like the same shitty fighting game that I just play over and over with like the same like 3 characters, and that was miserable until Christmas. And then like my parents finally gave me a memory card, so that's much better.
Speaking of fighting games, what are your fighting game jams? What are you into?
I really suck at them, so it's mostly like if they look good and they kind of like feel alright. So like the last one that was like super into was like Dragon Ball Fighterz, because like I'm like a big like Dragon Ball nerd, and yeah, I loved it because like it looks gorgeous, he plays like well, and but yeah, otherwise like I suck at like fighting games. You have to like learn so much and get like so involved into the game that like I don't have time for that. Like just want to have like a little fun like once in a while, and just like like a friend's party. And then like if I get like buddies that are like super into fighting games, they kick my ass, and I just like stand back and just like look and like, all right, that's like fun.
I get that feeling. I thought I was good at fighting games back in the day, and then like actually watching people that are good at fighting games, like I'm not good at fighting games.
Yeah, and especially here, like I mean, game studios, like we had like QA guys like during the break, which they went to just play like Street Fighters and like stuff like just for like fun, and we're like, I'm never gonna compete, so it's like just watch and just like spam like the same like Hadouken or whatever, and you're good to go as long as you're having fun. But yeah,
exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, isn't that the point of gaming, to just have fun?
Yeah, but you get competitive and then it's not fun anymore, because like getting your ass kicked like 10 times in a row by the same dude who gets like more and more like snarky about it, like that's not fun.
I know. I unfortunately, back in the day, was that guy for my group of friends. And then I was really good at Tekken Tag back in the day. Mm-hmm. Really good.
And then you discovered there's like better people.
Oh, yeah. Then I went out into the wild outside of my group of friends. Mm-hmm. Oh, no, I'm not that good. I'm just better than them.
Yep.
With my advanced age, I don't think I could compete with young kids and their Twitch fucking reflexes. Just like, nope, just going to get my ass kicked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. Like, same thing. I gave up on like all online gaming and like stuff like, because like one, I don't want my poor mother to be insulted like all the time, or like other stuff like based on like the avatar that I had like on the Xbox Live back in the days. I was changing just like my dude like based on like a movie or whatever, and yeah, I just kept getting like insults like left and right just because it's like, oh, you fucking ginger and like stuff. I'm like, no, like I mean. Yeah, people are just like awful online, like no matter what.
I got to a point where I just turned off where like if you weren't on my friends list, you could not communicate with me on Xbox Live.
Yeah, that's what I do every time. Like now, I just like go in the lobby, just like mute everybody, and just be like done.
Oh, I had a universal setting, like you could not message me, you could not like. I played a lot of UFC 2 online for a while, and I played kind of dirty. So I would get a lot of people just sending me hate messages after matches. I used to ground and pound people. And I get all these, stand up and fight, pussy. Like, it's MMA, dog. Learn how to defend a takedown.
Yeah, like 80% is on the ground.
Yeah.
Like, I had like something funny though. Like, I played like a VR game and it was like shooting. It's kind of like like a shooting gallery kind of like thing. And I think I matched with like probably like a little kid that was like under 10 or something. But in the VR world, like he could see like my height, so it was just like we had like our 2 avatars like next to each other, and he was like, holy shit, you're super tall, like because I guess he was not used to like play with just like adults like in VR games like that, so it was kind of like funny. And but I still didn't like reply to him. I was like, not listening.
I have zero interest in communicating with someone who's 10 online.
Yeah,
that's how you end up on a list. Nope. Not going out like that. Not happening. I Twitch stream, and occasionally I have people like, oh, can we jump into your game? And it's like, are you 18? No, then no. The fuck no, you can't.
Yeah.
I'm going to say some horrible dick joke, and your mother's going to report me. Not happening.
Yeah, I could see that. Like, I don't play, like on Twitch or like anything, but there's like a fun story about like, like one of the God of War developer, like she get like tons of like hate like messages or whatever, and then like she reported them to the mother, which was like pretty funny.
What did the mother say? Anything?
I don't remember. That probably disappointed us. Like, oh, my little angel. He would never say that.
He would never do anything like that because, unfortunately, Mom, that reflects on you and how you raised the motherfucker.
Yeah.
Since you're a big DBZ fan, are you going to roll out some DBZ sex toys?
I might have. I do have like actually like one which is like pretty popular right now. Like people are asking me. I even get like a bunch of like custom orders for it. Yeah, I made like a like. So I don't use like the real names.
Yeah, I don't get sued.
So it's like everything is parody. So like I try to use my like shitty sense of humor and my like dad like puns and jokes to just like come up with like names and like stuff. So if you know like the Dragon Ball Z like lore and whatever, I name my my Goku one Kakarot.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, so is this guy. I do have that one. So they'll come with like a nice custom box that we like drew with like my girlfriend, and like just to get like something like nicer that like most of like the dildo company are like doing out there, like because yeah, like I come from like the collectibles as well. Like I've been like a sculptor for like like a long time, and so we're like, you know what's missing is like every time when you receive like a sex toy from like another company, most of the time it's just like in a plastic bag, just like wrapped, and we were like, okay, what can we do better to like kind of like bring like the collectible aspect to like the sex toy industry? So we made like kind of like boxes where you can see have like a window. So if you don't even want to use it and just like collect them as like,
but the box is open. You already have an open box. Like,
well, but okay, that one, like the bottom crash. But
okay,
it should not.
It's no longer in mint.
Well, but those ones are not mint yet.
Oh,
I need
you're
to
bringing you're bringing used sex toys on the show.
Oh yeah, those ones I use. Like you don't touch them.
You didn't even sanitize it before you brought it in. Jeez.
I didn't have enough like 99% alcohol for that one. So there's the bad boy. So yeah, what are we trying to do like a little bit differently? Like so most of the time in like the sex toy and whatever, everything is like kind of like one mold. And so I want to try to like bring like the aspect that you like buying like a toy that you actually can fuck. So like they need to look good. So I made like tons of like different molds, like and like crazy engineering just to get that out of the box. So we have like those ones that I call like the designer edition. So yeah, they're made like specifically to be able to like replicate as much as I can like what I have in mind with like a character or like for like the other brands like a food or like something like that. And they're like pieced together using like seal epoxy, which is like body safe, but it's not as like strong as like just making like a one mold. So like those ones we have like a big disclaimer saying like they look good because they're made like this way, but it's kind of like the most like artisanal way of like making like a sex toy kind of thing. Like I spent hours to just try to like glue them like perfectly and make like the seams and everything. So they just take like a tremendous amount of work just to like finish like the product.
How much of a pounding can that sucker take?
It's pretty good. Like I mean like all the way there, it's like extremely solid. Like it should last for like a long time, but it's not as like solid as like a full piece that we make as well, which is like those ones are for like heavy users. But that is more like if you're kind of like a more like delicate and like, you know, you use like a sex toy once in a while, but you want to have like something a bit special, like that's what like the designer editions are made for. It's like you want to have like a nice display and kind of like a conversation piece, and you can have like I mean, some people that contacted us, they just want to have like some different Kakarot edition with like different like hair colors. So I get like the regular like Super Saiyan one, and I got one with like the blue hair and one with like the pink hair, and they just with their like
conversation piece.
Yeah, just be like, hey, look, there's like Goku's dick and like stuff like that. So it's like it's really fun like for me to just like come up with like what the characters should look like, or like like the monsters or like the food item and like stuff like that. It's just like it's like literally just having fun with that and try to like bring something a little bit different to like the sex toy industry that like I don't think I've seen that like a lot of like really like playful. And like I made like a ton of like commercial videos as well of like I rendered them in like 3D and then like animated them and like get like music, animation and like sound just to like just like push like a little bit and more like the fun factor into all of this. So like there's like a tremendous amount of work like to just get that, but it seems like people are like really grasping like the idea and just like the fun that we like put into it. And it's not just be like, those guys are just making like cocks and like whatever. It's like
And even if you were just making cocks, whatever, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but like what I wanted to do is just like bring like the fun factor and just like having like it's something like a little bit different for like people that might not like collect like toys or like use them like a lot. Just like bachelorette party and just be like, hey, if you're like super into anime or whatever, and like bam, here you go, you get that one that's kind of like a bit different than like seeing like horse or like dragon like dicks or whatever.
Are you going to try to sell some at Anime Expo next weekend?
Well, I tried to look for like a booth or whatever. It's like already like way too late. So now I'm like trying to like find like where I would be accepted and like stuff like that. So like maybe Monsterpalooza. Like I don't know if you know, it's like a big like monster convention in like Burbank. But because they have like a booth with like the Girls and Zombie like magazine or something. So I'm
Girls
like,
and Corpses, yep.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, maybe I can like, if those guys are like allowed, maybe I can have like my booth in the corner with just like, 18 plus and just be like, you have to like knock and just like go behind the curtain and like
go through a beaded curtain.
Yeah.
Like it's an old school porn shop.
Yeah, like I mean that would be fun. Like, but everything is like super colorful. Like we have like a tiny cute mascot and like everything, and yeah, like seems like people really dig like just the silliness of it. Like a lady like contacted us and she was like, oh, dude, like I spent an hour on your Etsy just reading like the description for your toys and like the names. Because yeah, that's pretty much like all that comes. It's just like, how can I make puns and make like a dick at the same time? So.
Oh, for sure. Have you ever thought about getting into strokers as well, or are you just going to stay with dicks?
I tried to make one and I was actually not super successful with it. I broke like the mold like pretty much like the first time. So like I want to expand like the brand with having like grinders and like strokers and all that stuff. But yeah, it takes like a lot of time of like just like engineering like on my end, because like right now I'm like the only one like doing all that. So like sculpting, printing and all that kind of stuff, like it just takes like a very long time. So yeah, I want to expand, but like not for now. I want to just like bring like more designs. But yeah, like people were asking, like we have like a banana for scale, because like, it's like the meme online where like people use like bananas to like measure like mirrors and like fridge and stuff.
I mean, you should hold that next to the liquor bottle so people can really
Yeah, that one is a beast. Like, I mean, like his thing is like it's over 9 inches. Like the meme or whatever.
Over 9,000, yep.
Yes, so I made that one specifically over 9 inches. So it's like the large version. And something as well that or at least that I try to do differently. It's like we don't make like different sizes for like each like kind of like IP or like brands. I try to like just make one that represent that character or like that type of food or like that monster or whatever. And then within that range, like we're gonna have like his companion friend that's like in the same style or whatever, which would be like the size underneath. And not like this one, like as like a small version and then like a medium and stuff. Like another character would take that spot.
So what are you going to do? Vegeta as the medium?
Yes. And it's like the next in line. So we're going to have like Vegeta as the medium, Frieza as like the small, like Cell is probably like larger than like this, and like Broly is like the XXL. Like it's like a different
do a Piccolo
thing.
one too, a little antennae.
Yeah. Piccolo, Boo, like all those guys are like planned. So yes, like there's too many animes that I want to like work on and like do like maybe an Attack on Titan. Maybe that one's already done and maybe that one is huge. It's just like, having fun with like what I can like find and like stuff and like stuff that like I find interesting and I'm like super into, and just be like, okay, I'm just gonna tackle that. Like,
so are you gonna do some of them as limited runs or?
So yeah, all those ones, because they take like so long to make. Like I only make like 25 of them. But like then like the regular like swirls and like colors and stuff, like those ones will just like keep going and whatever. But yeah, like the really specific ones, I kind of like like a collector item, because like by the time I like finish one that like made like this way, I can probably like pour like 10 other ones. So like technically it doesn't make any sense for me to just make them, because like I'm pretty much like losing money. But I just love like the look and like how different they are and like that everything. I'm like, okay, it's like worth it for me, because that's kind of like my like sculptor brain and like collectibles, like stuff that I'm like, okay, I want to like still bring those ones to like people that really enjoy just like having like a nice toy and just like can display it and like stuff like. So yeah, those ones are like for like mostly like collectibles, like. And
you're gonna start dropping certificates of authenticity, be like, this is one of 20.
Yeah, actually they do. Like I didn't bring like a box with like one of them, but like I do put like a specific like sticker on the side with like designer edition, and they're all like hand signed with like number and like everything. So like if you buy like the very first one, like that's it. Like you have like the 1 out of 25. So yeah, we try to just make it like a little bit special for like those people that like spend the money to just like buy like one of those like really special ones that like I try to spend like a lot of time. So like for me it's special, so I try to make it special for like people as well.
What sort of stress testing are you putting this thing through?
Well, dude, we've been like pulling them, like everything, like twisting and like everything, and like so far like they haven't moved, but like I haven't done that for like many years, so like I don't know like in the long run, like, you know, if they would like last forever. Probably not as much as like a regular toy. So that's what we're trying to explain as well. It's like those wonderful like gentle use kind of thing, like, but all the other ones, like, you just can go to town. Like,
you're not going to town on your significant other as, you know, part of product testing?
Well, no, because you know what they say, like, you don't like use your own products or whatever. Like,
well, how else are you supposed to do it? You can't particularly give these
to the
neighborhood
but
kids.
I mean, like, I'm a small guy. Like, I don't want to stretch her out too much. So
if she can pump a kid out, she can handle Kakarot.
We don't want kids, so
right, but she could. I mean, theoretically.
All right, we'll see. I mean, like, she's been like intimidated. I mean, okay.
Oh no.
But this one,
Jesus. Jesus.
I mean, that's for like the most brave out there.
Yeah. That for the audio audience, this is something you have to watch on video, and I don't know if I can actually show this on YouTube. We'll find out the hard way, I'm sure. But I'm pretty sure that is thicker than my fucking ankle.
Oh yeah, like definitely. Any weight's like about like 5 pounds, probably, or something like that.
Yeah, that is like,
it's a hefty one.
Yeah,
like that's like the challenge mode. Like, I don't really expect like a thing like to sell too much of that one, but it'll just be like to me it looks so fun and like good. I'm like, I have to like make it, like, no matter what.
That is ridiculous. So for the audio audience, it's based on the Hulk, and apparently the Hulk is more girth than length.
Yes, it's called the Incredible Hunk. But if you look at like the details,
Jesus, I can barely lift this motherfucker one-handed. Like, I could be doing reps with this fucking thing.
I mean, it's a good workout. Like, lifting like the silicone bottles and like everything, just like pouring those bad boys. Like,
this thing is fucking ridiculous. Like, by comparison, I'm gonna grab the fucking liquor bottle. Like, look at the fucking. It is girthier than a bottle. This is really fucking ridiculous. How many of these have you sold?
So right now, like, that's like, I just started like 2 weeks ago. So I didn't sold any of those ones yet, but people have been putting in their carts as like their favorites. So like, there is a lot of like interest for it, actually. Like,
this
much
thing
more
looks
than
like a giant green thumb.
Much more than I thought. Yeah, and so that one is so big that like it doesn't fit in our like standard box, obviously, because I try to like make all of them to just like fit into that one, to I can like ship them, and like everything is like kind of like standardized. So like I cannot do this one. So like this one comes with like a little bag that I made as well, just for like him, and we like try to sell him as well, because I was like, I need to buy like 150 of those bad boys. So like,
holy shit, that thing is ridiculous.
Yeah, but it's fun, right?
Right. Yeah, I'm sure someone would have a good time once. Like, are you having people sign waivers before they try to penetrate themselves with that thing?
Well, nobody bought it yet, so like,
I don't know. I feel like you should have some legal paperwork with that motherfucker. Be like, use at your own risk.
Yeah, I mean, it can be used for like paperweight or like workout, like anything.
God damn. That would just ruin somebody.
I don't know. I've seen stuff, and
I mean, I've seen some stuff too, but Jesus, that would be impressive.
I know. Like we were like thinking about doing maybe like the Incredible Hunk challenge, and like if you like send us like a video of like you like managing to use it like properly and everything, like I don't know, you get like a free dildo or something. Like
You're gonna have to give someone more than a free dildo out of it.
well, if they can take it, I mean, like they're used to it, so it shouldn't be like that much of a challenge. And like nobody's gonna like as a casual kind of like enthusiast gonna buy that one just for like fun and be like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do like tonight.
Max, no matter what happens tonight, you're not going to get me drunk enough to try one. So just putting that out there.
Well, you have a lot of bottles, so like
No, and I'm a very, very well practiced drunk. So
all right. I will start you with like one of the easier one, and then like you can move to like this guy. 'Cause, I mean, we do have like brought like a zombie one as well, which is like I call them like the Dilgo spook line, which are like based on like kind of like horror like movies and like stuff like that. So I made like one for like called it like the Thingy for like John Carpenter like masterpiece. Those ones called like the Wanking Dead because just like I like stupid puns. So I'm like, I'm gonna make one with like brain as like a head and like everything. So yeah, for you to look pretty interesting, and that was manageable.
I mean that is a proper representation of male anatomy right there.
All right.
Well, because brains. That's what we really think with.
I know. So that's why I was like, I need to make one like that. It's like dick for brains or like something like that. So that was kind of cool.
I don't know how much of this I'm going to have to censor for YouTube. We'll find out.
Just pixelate everything.
Yep. Just a lot of mosaic. Thank you for all the extra post-production work.
Yeah, you're welcome. Hey, I can help with that. Like I've been doing that like a lot recently. So
I got it. Don't worry. So what else is in the works? What else do you got? Like what other, molds are you thinking about?
Yeah, so yeah, like I said, like we have like the pop culture ones, which are like based on like anime, superhero, like and like movies, like anything that like you could see at like Comic-Con and like stuff. So those are like the line like this. So I got like already like the Dark Knob. Like I don't know if you can guess what it is. The Wandering Spider Dick as well.
Nice. Eventually you got to make another version of the spider dick that actually sprays, shoots webbing.
Yeah, I mean it could like just like a little tube, like, and yeah, that should be doable. And then we have like the spook line, which is just like horror based, like I was saying, just like stuff that I find either like funny or just like monsters and whatever. So like we have like the Frankie, which is like got like a pretty big one because like it's got a pretty big like.
Yeah. Does it have bolts in the bottom of it?
No, because that is copyrighted.
The bolts?
Yeah, like the bolts are like the thing that makes like that Frankenstein like special is like the bolts. So like
it's his neck. That's not a neck.
I know, but there's like a lot of things that you try to like go around and like see if that would like pass or whatever. So he's got a lot of stitching, and like I try to like sculpt every like part of his like anatomy with like different skin texture. So like that one has got like a lot of like different like kind of like flavors and like stuff like that.
Are you gonna get into some chemistry and develop some blood lube?
Yeah, it would be a pretty good idea. Well, we'll see. Like right now I'm like pretty busy already just trying to like run this and like make like pours and like runs and like see actually what people want and are excited about. Because like I was saying, like I'm really new to this industry, and like people have like different expectation that like what like toy collectibles and like statue collectors like want. So like I'm just been like gathering like as much information and talking to like a lot of people and be like, okay, what do you like? What do you want? Like what kind of like colors are you into and like that kind of stuff. So like right now that's like the big part of my business is just trying to like figure out like what people want and like the sizes and like stuff like that, which is like not easy. Even like the firmness, like people are really specifically like what they want, and yeah, there's just like
it makes sense. It's going inside them,
and because we only like so far just do like one size for like each model, like it's got to be like kind of like perfect to just be able to like sell one, because like they want like the color to like be good and like the firmness and stuff, and right now like the silicone prices went like through the roof again because of all the like blockage of like ships and whatnot that like is getting like way more expensive to like do anything.
They're all sitting off the port of Long Beach, and
yeah, I went there like last week to just like buy like another big bucket of like silicone, and I was asking him like, hey, how come like like the same 5 gallon now is like $200 more than like it used to be. And yeah, it would just be like worse because like some people, they try to like pay off like to get their like shipment like faster. So like, yeah, it's just like the economy is like getting like fucked. Like this.
Have you thought about just hoarding some of it? It's not like it goes bad, right?
It does.
It does?
Yeah, like especially like here in California, it was like super hot. Like you cannot like leave it for like ever. Like at the bottom, you're still gonna have like some like deposit and stuff, and it's gonna start like curing. So like I would rather use like, you know, like stuff that I can like finish and like as fast as possible instead of like buying like a giant like 100-gallon like stuff, because like, yeah, that would not last, and then that would not be safe to like use in like a product. So try to be as like safe as possible and like give like the best product and like quality that I can do.
That makes sense. Yeah. The last thing you want is a review of someone like, my pussy is on fire because of Kakarot.
Yeah. I mean, it will be maybe eventually, hopefully,
in a good way,
but for a good
use
reasons.
lube, use fucking lube. Hopefully your genitals will not be on fire.
Yeah. But yeah, like we'll try to be
Except
like,
with, you know, the big boy over there, the hunk. Yeah, I don't know.
Try to be as like safe as we can, and like just use like, yeah, like the best like silicone that's like out there, and that like pretty much like all the like big toy companies are using. Like Smooth On is just like the leader, and like I'm only use this for like everything, because like you don't want like weird like knockoffs and just like stuff, and people know what they want. Like you just need to like ensure like just like the firmness in like how like Smooth On like does their stuff is like 0050 or 031, and people know, like, because it's for like a different crowd that like the guy that goes to Spencer and just like buy like a toy. Like they know what they want, they know like the product, they know everything about it. So
yeah, I mean, if you're going to spend that kind of money on a toy, you should know what you're getting yourself into. You shouldn't,
yeah.
None of these strike me as like, oh, this is just going to be my first toy.
Yeah, no, like it's for like people that are like already like into it and just like collect and like know, and like, I mean, I've seen like displays and like stuff where like people have like UV light cabinets with like some of them are like UV reactive and like have like,
you got to make a hunk variant that's UV reactive.
Well, that would like light up the whole room, and like you would not be able to sleep.
Or maybe one of the Dragon Ball ones that like, when it's UV reactive, it looks like they're glowing, like they're powering up.
Well, actually, the hair on that one is like slightly like glowing as well, because I use like to get like that right like hue of color. The one of the yellow is like UV reactive, so if you put in like under like a UV light, you're still gonna see like a faint like like glowing like UV reaction. It's not like glowing because it's not like a glowing powder. There's some products that use it, but yeah, it makes something like a little bit different in the dark. So that's pretty cool.
That is pretty rad. Like,
yeah, and I made like a thingy like kind of like based on like a Toxic Avenger, and that one, yeah, I mixed like everything kind of like yellow and like green, and that one is like super UV reactive. So like in the dark, it looks like half transparent with like glowing like stuff in it. Like,
I'm surprised Troma wouldn't let you just flat out license Toxic Avenger. I'm surprised they wouldn't.
Oh, we'll see. I mean, like, the goal is to try to like see, yeah, if there's like some companies that would just be open to like do that kind of stuff, like official like license of like toys, and that would be super fun.
Oh, when we get off air, we'll have to talk. I have some friends that work at Troma, so
all right, sounds good.
Make some introductions for you. Hopefully, because that totally seems like something up their alley.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a lot like that could be done and whatever, but like so far I just want to like start like the business and just like show what it was about. So just like doing like parody and like stuff like that. But yeah, like if like it interests like people to just like do official like like collaboration and stuff, like I will be like super down for that. And there's like actually like a French TV show or like on YouTube. It's called Pipoudou. Like you guys should look it up. It's like they call it kind of like a sexual education like show, and it's like kind of like people from my generation that grew up on like anime and stuff, because like way back then in France, that was like, I think we were like one of the first country that like kind of like imported like animes from like Japan and stuff, because they were like, oh, they're cartoons, it's for kids, and they had it pretty wrong. But then they did like some bonker dubs and like stuff like that, which is like changes like completely like the mood of like the show, like, and so they grew up with that as well. So they made like, yeah, like that kind of like tiny like YouTube series, like, and it's like hilarious. Like we're like a tiny hamster as well. And it just like teach you a lot of stuff about like sexuality and like stuff. But it's like really educational. Like it's really funny. It's like crazy bonkers, and they have like tons of like parody stuff. And like at one point, yeah, there's like full on like Akira mode and like Dragon Ball and like stuff. And no, it is great. Like they talk about like a lot of like, I don't want to like spoil anything because you guys should really watch it. And it's like great animation, great humor, and yeah, they have like an English dub and like stuff like that. It's like amazing.
Stuff lost in the English dub?
Not much. I think they did like a really good job just trying to like get that across. But I don't know, just watch the French version with subtitles. It works too.
I agree. I mean, I think more Americans should watch things with subtitles, but unfortunately, a lot of my countrymen are kind of lazy about that shit.
Yeah, I never got that because like
reading's hard.
But it looks better, and like, you know, it's just like the lips feel like more natural.
Well, better vocal inflections.
Yeah, and like you can tell like now I cannot even watch like any French movie that's been, I mean like US movie that's been like dubbed in French, like because we have like 3 fucking actors that do all the voices, so it's like you recognize like the same guy that does like Tom Cruise, that does like Russell Crowe and like this. It just like feels like super weird, and like, yeah, like the lips don't move like correctly. It's just like, it's really awkward. Like,
how common is that in France to like get dubbed movies?
Oh, all of them. Like, it's, yeah, I mean, now it's becoming more common with like people actually like show movies in like English and whatever with subtitles. I think it became like in the last 10, 15 years, like now people are looking for it because of streaming and stuff like that. Like you don't have to wait, and they can just like watch stuff in like English or whatever like language is supposed to be. So they get used to that, and now they're like kind of like craving that at the theater as well. But like until like, yeah, like those like 10, 15 years ago or whatever, like everything was dubbed and it was terrible.
Well, as an American, it's you're consciously aware that like, oh, the majority of the film industry does happen here. And like it's a rarity that we get foreign films, and often they're dubbed, but you don't think about it as much. It never really like occurred to me like, oh yeah, our massive amount of movies that we make a year, like the giant blockbusters that are international, get a bunch of dubs when they go to other countries, and I'm sure they're fucking weird.
Yeah, it is. But you know what's weirder? It's like when you guys find like a French movie that's awesome, you don't dub it. You just try to make a shitty remake of it, and it's like way worse now.
I mean, that's just the American way.
I know. But just like how harder it is to just like remake a whole movie instead of like reading like some subtitles.
Well, I think we're getting better about that shit. At least, you know, we're not just remaking Old Boy again. There's been at least some Korean movies that have come in and like are actually in Korean and with subtitles, and like fucking Parasite won a goddamn Oscar, which is fucking amazing. Like, oh hey, a fucking foreign movie won Best Fucking Picture, like fucking amazing. And they didn't dub it, they just subtitled.
Yeah, no, it get much better, but yeah, like that was like the thing of like dubs was like, I don't know, maybe because like TV had like, you know, shitty resolution, so it was much harder to like read like text and like stuff like that. Like
I think
way
you're
back
giving
then.
us too much credit.
Yeah, I don't know.
And hell, I have a movie poster in there for a French movie, so Man Bites Dog.
Oh, this is great.
Man, I rewatched it again recently. That movie does not age well. Like, it's not supposed to be politically correct in any way, shape, or form, but boy, for a serial killer, the main character is very repugnant.
Yeah, I mean, like, you're supposed to hate the guy. You're supposed to pretty much like hate everything that he does, and it's just like, yeah, it is bad. And like even like the little drink that, you know, that he makes, like the Petit Gregory, like it's from like a real like kind of like horror like story that happened back in France, like, you know, like in the 80s or something like that. Like, yeah, there's like a little kid that get like murdered, and like they found him like in a river in like a bag or something, and this was like that huge like thing.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, it is a real thing. And in that movie, yeah, they make a joke about like having like the little Gregory like on the string, and you put him in your drink, and when he like comes back up or whatever, like, yeah, it's a real thing.
Oh, I had no idea.
So it's even darker than you can like imagine. Like,
it's still a good movie, but boy, I had no idea that was a real thing in France. That like actually, wow.
Well, there you go. So now I'll rewatch it with like some insight.
The show is educational occasionally. Occasionally happens. That's fucking wild. But yeah, no, I saw that movie on VHS in the 90s, like subtitled, and I'm like, oh, this movie's really cool. And so have the poster, and it's often a conversation starter when people are like, what's that movie? I'm like, oh, you've never heard of Man Bites Dog? Oh. And then I expose people to it.
Yeah, and then they don't talk to you anymore.
So be it. If they're going to unfriend me in real life over art that I didn't even make.
Yeah, but there's like a couple that are like really good from kind of like that time where like small kind of like indie like filmmaker, and they really didn't really give a shit about like, you know, what they were doing, and just be like, this is a piece of art and like take it. Like one that I really like, and I cannot find like any like thing here to like show like people that I know or even my girlfriend or whatever. It's called like Doberman. And yeah, you should just like check it out if you can try to like find it as well. It's like a kind of like police fucked up kind of like thing, and it's really, really good. Like
called Doberman?
Yeah, Doberman.
I'm gonna check somewhere, see if they have it.
Things like Vincent Cassel and like Chicky Cario, like a bunch of like famous like French actors that probably never heard of it here.
There's a specialty movie store out on the west side called Cinephile. And they have supposedly just an insane, but they don't, unfortunately you can't.
Because like the Man Bite Dog, like in France it's called like C'est arrivé près de chez vous, means like it happened close to home, or something like that. So
it could happen here.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's subtitled in that in the US release.
Oh, so yeah, like that movie might have like a completely different name that like you're gonna find.
Because we have to Americanize it for some reason.
Well, we do that too, so like don't worry about it.
Sure, everyone does it for locality, like, because, you know, especially if the title's like a colloquialism, like, people won't get it. They'll be like, what the hell does that mean? Hell, I'm sure plenty of people in America were like, what does Man Bite Dog mean?
Yeah. Well, it's not worse than like French-Canadian movies. Because they change, like, they take like the American version and they try to make like a French version of the title, which sounds weird. Like Pulp Fiction is going to be like Fiction Pulpeuse. And it's like... Even in French, it doesn't sound right. Like, you should not do that. So, sorry, like, if there's, like, Canadian listening, but, yeah, stop. Like,
well, from what I've been told, like, Canadian French is, like, a much more, like, formal French, and someone described it to me as, like, if French stopped evolving in, like, the 1800s or something.
Yeah, and they use, like, kind of, like, the same words as well, but they have different meanings. So, like, sometimes you can be in a conversation and you talk to somebody and, like, you'll get offended because you say something. And, like for example, there's, like, a word that's, like, les gosses, which means, like, in French, means, like, kids. And in French-Canadian, that means your balls. So, like, you know, you can get in trouble, like, really quickly.
I get it. I mean, there's plenty of differences between the various English speakers around the world. I mean, the Brits throw around cunt like it's going out of style, and many, 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 many American women get very offended by that word.
I know, but I love that word, though. Like, it just sounds right. Like, it's like the cunt, like, for me, like, we have, like, the French version is called, like, putain. And, like, that is, like, our fuck. Like, you just, like, put that, like, just as, like, an exclamation point, like, pretty much everywhere. Or just, like, say something, you just, like, add, like, a little putain in there. Like, it just makes everything, like, smoother. And actually, even my girlfriend, she's American, and she just use it all the time now. And, like, even, like, when she curses at work or whatever, that's, like, the first thing that comes out of her mouth. So I was, like, pretty proud of that. Like,
you've been a bad influence.
It's great influence. I mean, it sounds just right. Like,
is she bilingual or?
No, she, like, learns, like, a little. Like, she's much better than, like, I think she should be, because, like, I don't really, like, teach her, like, French, but, like, every time when my parent comes and she's, like, kind of, like, understands, like, pretty much everything and stuff. So, yeah, she's really good without even, like, trying. I try to, like, show her, like, some, like, old French movies and, like, stuff like that, like, with mixed success, because, like, I grew up with them and we have, like, a totally different type of, like, humor. So, like, yeah, sometimes she doesn't get it, or, like, some stuff I'm, like, way too old to, like, just be, like, even good by, like, today's standards, but I'm, like, that's classics.
I mean, there's plenty of American classics that don't hold up either.
Yeah.
Plenty of things like, oh, yeesh, that I don't get why that was funny. I mean, at the time, there's definitely some comedies that were like, I laughed my ass off at the time, and now it's just like, not so great.
Yeah. Well, for me, like a lot of them, they're still funny, but it's just like it does not translate like properly. Like, so that's like the hard part. Like trying to like the French humor, everything is like a lot of it is like based on like kind of like puns and play on words and like stuff like that. And you cannot really translate that. Like
right, and especially if you're doing subtitles, like completely lost.
Yeah, and sometimes they do try to like
phonetically put it on screen, or
just like translate and like like bring it to like the audience that they're supposed to like watch. I think like OSS like 117 is like Jean Dujardin, like like the guy who won like the Oscar for The Artist. Like he made that like series of movies which are like a spoof from like James Bond, even if actually OSS came before James Bond. So it was like the original kind of like spy like stuff, and it's like a really like old French, super racist, but just like like you play with that kind of like colonial kind of like humor and stuff, and that kind of like separation between like it is fucked up, but it works like great in like the movie, and they do like really great like like I guess like translation or like mix to make it like appeal to like the American audience. Like so it works great. You should watch that one. Like the first one is really funny.
I'll check it out. And I'm a bit of a cinephile, so I'm always down to check some of it out. Like, and I try to find, even in movies I don't necessarily enjoy, I try to find something that's like redeeming about. Like, there's definitely been some movies where like, yeah, that really wasn't my thing, but it was shot beautifully. Or
I wouldn't say like that one is like shot beautifully, but just like it's like a perfect kind of like encapsulation of like like kind of like the humor and like what France like was like way back then, and like now you like watch it with like a modern eye, and like like the stuff that we're saying like back then or whatever was like really fucked up. But
that's the thing. I'm very much of the opinion that things that were are fucked up now that were done back then, we should not go back and correct them. We should just understand that it was a different fucking time, and that was socially acceptable at the time. Like the idea of people, there's been talk about going back and like editing American classics to take out the offensive shit. It's like, no, that was the art at the time. You need to understand, like, times were fucking different.
Yeah,
like,
and like you grow from that. Like you see like, what was wrong and whatever, and just like go from there.
We did not wake up and arrive right here. There were steps to get here, and that art was part of it. And we need to acknowledge that and go, okay, that's fucked up. Let's not do it again.
Yeah.
Speaking of French history, are you going to make a Charles de Gaulle toy?
He was really tall, so could be, but
you can make a whole world leaders line. You can make a Churchill that's like shaped like a. Well, just hold that thought for 1 second. We just have to take a quick break to have a word from our sponsors. This week's episode is brought to you by our friends at Libsyn. Do you have an idea for a great new podcast? You can bring your idea to life and start your podcast today with Libsyn. Since we launched And Now We Drink has been on Libsyn, forget all the other platforms. I have gone on record, even when Libsyn wasn't paying me, to shout Libsyn's names from the rooftops. Libsyn has everything you need to plan, launch, and grow your own podcast. Libsyn provides some of the best resources created by expert podcasters and will show you everything you need to know. Equipment, best recording practices, how to get your show onto Apple, Spotify, all the other platforms, and much more. Seriously, they will help you if you have any questions. The staff at Libsyn is just passionate about podcasts. Plus, as a drinking buddy, a friend of the show, when you sign up with Libsyn, you get your first month of podcast hosting for free. There has never been a better time than right now to start podcasting. Visit Libsyn.com and use the code FRIEND, FRIEND. That's LIBSYN.com and use the code FRIEND, FRIEND, to get started and create your podcast today. All right. Sorry about interrupting there. Let's get back to world's leaders of sex toys.
Well, I kind of was thinking like I could make like a little like Trump like super like orange and like teeny tiny, but I'm like, not gonna do that.
I mean, you could. You'll get some press.
Yeah, probably. But don't want to deal with that kind of like press or like people. Because people will just be like, we either like not get it or like trying to like get too political. And like we try to keep like in our like lines of just like.
That's why you got to go with historical figures. Go with de Gaulle, go with Churchill. Don't go with Hitler. Don't make a Hitler. Don't. Just don't do that one. But you can go with other classic world leaders.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe in like a few years when I'm like completely tapped out on like all the IPs and like stuff that I can try to parody, but it'll take a while, I think.
I just think it'd be hilarious to arrive in Paris with a Charles de Gaulle at Charles de Gaulle.
Yeah, I'm not sure people will like get it. Like,
you can lead a horse to water. You could try.
Right. Maybe there's like a little like voice box in it, and like when you use it, it's just like "Je vous ai compris."
You can make a Fidel Castro with a big beard on it.
It's infinite. See, like giving me so many ideas. Like it's not even funny. Like I just started with like 3 lines, and like every time you like talk to people, well, you should do this and that and that. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to focus and like do what I can.
Take everything I'm suggesting with a grain of salt. I'm not going to be upset if you don't go with a single one of them.
Yeah, maybe not. But if I do, you'll be the first to know.
Awesome. Yeah, come on. Put a little voice box in one that's like, Viva Revolution!
And then you cut his head off.
Yeah, it comes packaged with a little guillotine.
Yeah. I mean, a guillotine, yeah, like as like a stand or something. Right. Then we're onto something.
There we go.
I mean, like French, we're like super into food as well. So I made like a line based on like food, dessert, and like stuff, right? So I got like one that's like a chocolate eclair with like the whipped cream at the bottom, and like it's like fairly smallish, like one.
See, that's definitely one that needs to squirt.
Stop making everything squirt. Like that's more work for me.
Hey man, you're making more work for me in post. I'm just trying to make more work for you.
Okay, so you want more work?
Oh, here we go.
This one is the gingerbread manly. So it's our love for like dessert and like everything like sweet and everything. So we're just trying to like take that to like a fun kind of like more playful line than like the horror and whatever. Just like little thing for like everybody. And actually that one was like like the design that I like the most, because it's like ridiculous. It just looks like a gingerbread man cookie with like packing some meat. I was saying, like, talking to people on Twitter, like, holy crap, like, this one is not for, like, vegans, because, like, he's packing.
I don't think he can stand up on his own.
Yes, he can.
Oh, I meant stand.
Oh.
Kind of get weighed over there.
But yeah, so that one is, like, on, like, the more, like, cutesy, like, line, just, like, kind of, like, friendly stuff and whatever, and, like, they tend to be, like, a bit smaller than, like, those other, like, 9 inches one, and, like, so we have like that one made like like a chocolate eclair, which is like I've never seen that like in like a toy or like stuff like that.
Yeah, food stuffs like that.
Because like people they make like a lot of like veggies, and they just like cast like a banana or like cucumber or like where like that like purple thing like the emoji one.
Oh, eggplant.
Yes, and yeah, and like to me it's just like feels like a bit lazy. Like you can do like so much better. So I'm like trying to like think kind of like out of the box and what can we do with like food stuff. So
you can make a double-sided croissant if you made a big double-sided croissant.
Yeah, like the problem with like stuff that like double-sided and stuff like is just I want to have like a base to not make sure that you get like badly used and get lost somehow or whatever. So like yeah, like those ones I'm like not sure.
I mean, I'm talking like a big croissant.
A big one.
Yeah. Because you can't have something that length to be double-sided. Like the people are too close to each other at that point. There's nothing to hold on to do the work.
But yeah, no, it's a good idea. Might be a really big croissant.
Oh, really?
Because I try to like, keep them as like the relative size of like the food that's like parodying. So yeah, like if we have like a big ass croissant like that would like look odd, but I don't know, why not?
Why not? I mean, if someone wants to put it inside them.
So yeah, so we got like an ice cream as well with like a swirl. Like that one looks pretty good. And it's like, I don't know, it's like pretty common, I would say. Like I've seen like some like ice creams like done or whatever, but no, still liked it. And that's for our love for like soft serve that you can find like pretty much like everywhere, like down in LA, and we'll like almost eat that like every week. So I was like, I have to like pay tribute to it like somehow.
This is just wild. Like this is hilarious. Like
yeah, so I didn't bring like the banana for scale, but like
we got the liquor bottle. It works.
Yeah, but like so I sculpted and 3D printed like a banana with like the head of like an actual like kind of like sculpted like penis on it, and that we use as like our like scale for like every like project. Like if people know kind of like the sideshow collectibles, like they use like an apple as like the base to like show how big everything is. So we made that one just to like show us like this is it. It's based on like kind of like a standard banana that you can find at your grocery store, and that's what the toy looks like next to it. And yeah, like as soon as we like released it, like people were just asking for it. So that's like the next model that's coming. Like I had to like work on the base to just make it usable and not like get lost like somehow, and be able to like cast it like properly. So it should be fun.
We got to find some models for you to test this stuff out.
Like I said, like infinite kind of like stuff that I want to do and try, and like corn on the cob, like yeah, I don't know if it's like corn. Yeah.
Unfortunate that you didn't have your corn on the cob done already. It's about to be the 4th of July. Nothing is more Americana than like grilling and corn on the cob. On the
I know, I'm like super behind like my schedule and like releasing like just like the company in like general. Like I was planning on like doing all that for like the last holidays.
Because for the 4th, you could have easily had a corn on the cob and a hot dog.
Yeah, I sculpted like a hot dog already. Like it's in the works, but I'm trying to like find the right way of like making it like still funny, but not just look like just like a hot dog.
Well, you got to have it attached to the bun. You can't just have the hot dog. You got to have
the
bun there, and then you could use like the condiments as ridges.
Well, I was thinking like, so one that we're gonna have as well as like our first like grinder probably like is the banana milkshake, because like you can have like another banana milkshake, banana split, yeah. So I have like great texture on like both sides and like sprinkles and whatever. That should be like feel good and look like pretty good and like pretty funny looking as well. So yeah, like that one could be a grinder as well. Like the for the corn one, I was like maybe thinking like the base could be just like popcorn, that's like like exploded, but it's kind of like in the shape of like a spaceship, like the like taking off. So you have like the popcorn that's like white at the base that kind of like goes, and then you have all the like nice texture on that. Like just try to find something like a bit more really creative than just having like that. That's kind of my goal, is just like having fun with like the design and just try to like bring as much like weirdness as I can.
With all your sculpting skills, like what was the initial like I'm gonna do sex toys?
So it actually kind of started like way back then, like when I was in school, like learning all those like programs like sculpting, like ZBrush and Maya and whatever. Like I feel like one of the thing that like most dudes were like doing in the class was just like making a dick, like straight and simple, because like it's got a lot of like details and like stuff, so it's kind of like a good like base. And we're like super juvenile, stupid like humor and stuff, so we're like, I'm gonna make a dick. So that's kind of like how it started. And then like we were like talking more about it, and then I was like, you know what, I'm like really kind of like sick of like the game industry and everything. Like what can I do when I can have like back that kind of like feel of just like being careless and just like making stuff just for fun and not trying to like please like somebody like specifically, or just like make somebody else like design and whatever, and be like, okay, I'm just gonna make that and like try to make the best ones that I can think of. And like to me, like I don't think I even like clicked yet that they're like sex toys. Like to me, they're like sculptors, and like I still have my like sculpt kind of like brain, or just be like, those are like display items, and like yeah, they're not like dicks or anything. It's just like something that I spend time to just like try to sculpt and just like see like the forms and the shape and just like something like interesting. So it's probably my ADHD of like trying to like push and find like something interesting in like pretty much everything that I try to like do. So yeah, that's like kind of like my idea, of just be like, I'm good at sculpting, I'm just gonna go for it and like try to make like the best sex toys that like people have seen.
That's awesome. And hopefully people will start buying them and using them on their various sites and OnlyFans streams, and can go to town on them. Like I'm sure someone taking on the hunk would be big money. Yeah,
hopefully. I mean, that's why I'm doing it, is just be like, I'm just like, I think it's gonna connect like once like I see somebody actually using it in like a stream, like that's my work, like, because it's much more like personal than like any games that I worked on. Well, like you see like people play and stuff, just be like, oh, it's cool, you have like 15 minutes of like glory when the reviews are coming in, and then it just like fades out. And that is like much more kind of like personal. Like even if it's like my little like stupid project, like it is not like stupid for me. It's really like I put in like all my like sense of humor, and like even like the videos, like I try to like put as much like value as I can, just with like video editing and like sound designs and all that kind of stuff. Like even like the boxes, we try to like make something like a little bit special. So like it's really like me trying to like give my best for like something which was like extremely stressful when we released, like because I was like, oh shit, like what if like people hate it and like whatever. Like that was much more like personal than like anything that I've done. Like
Right, because if a game that you're on fails, it's the whole team that fails. It's not just you.
Yeah, and like most of the time, like the decision, you know, they're not yours. You just be like, okay, you want this way. I'm like doing it.
The producer, the director made a horrible choice. You're like, I was just doing what I'm told. This fails. This is all you.
Yeah, we actually had like some conversation with like one of my former bosses. Like he was asking me like one game that I worked on like miserably failed. Like it was like awful. And like everybody was depressed at the studio kind of thing, and be like, oh, like what's gonna happen and like stuff. And so like one day he came to like talk to me and was like, so what do you think about the reviews and stuff? I'm like, I'm fucking happy that like it bombed, because like we've been telling like the art team was telling you that like that was a bad decision, that you listened to like an EA executive kid that played it for like 15 minutes, and like because it was kind of a cartoony, it was like, oh, but this game is for my like little brother. So they changed like the whole art style and everything, and just turned into like that generic goop of like garbage. And we're like, oh, like I'm happy that the game tanked, because like you didn't listen to your team, you didn't trust it, like anybody that was like giving a shit about you at the game. And so this is what it is. Maybe like you had to like learn the hard way, but like not my problem. I still did my job. I did like the best that I could, but like, yeah, there's like a big like trust like thing that has to happen.
Well, art like that is supposed to be a collaborative process, but I feel like in gaming, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not often actually a collaborative process.
Yeah, not much. It's just like big voices like over and just be like, I want this, like no matter what. And if you try to like bring like some new ideas or whatever, like people don't actually listen, or like I was like saying at the beginning of the show, is like, yeah, just people take credit for like the work that you do, and like you go into a review session and like people are like, oh, I did this, and you're like no, I worked on this for like 3 months, and then like the guy just like took it, finished like something, and be like, this is mine. And like that's kind of like pissed me off as well, of like even in like portfolios and stuff, like there's like so many people involved into like making just like one thing like in a game, like especially nowadays when like there's like 3D scans, and there's like most of it is like done like outsourced in like Malaysia or China, or like tons of like, you know, offshore companies. And yeah, there's like 50 people that touch like your asset, and then like people, because they are like at the final line of like the studio, they just like claim it that like they did this. And I'm like, no, it's fucked up. Like there's like 20 person that like did that phase before you even touch it. You just grabbed it, put in the game, and now it's like you claim it as yours, that you made it. It's like, no, it's like a scan, you didn't sculpt anything, you just like cleaned it up. It's like super common, and that really pissed me off, because like kids like getting into the industry as well, they see this and they're like, oh my god, that guy is like a god, is because he can do those characters. It's like, no, like he's just one little part of like the big machine. And yeah, they get wrapped into that as well, and like it's like unfair for like a lot of people not like working. And
you put time, effort, energy into this, and like, oh, cool, well, fuck me then. Cool, appreciate you. Like that's bullshit.
And sometimes just like companies just like can project for like, because they can, like, you know, like, well, like the last studios that I was like working at, I got hired to like work on like a new IP, and they were like, I was a bit skeptical, because like brand new studio and like everything. I was like, okay, that might be like fun just to like bring something new to the table. And then I was like, but because you guys are like new, like, are we gonna ship? Which is like like a big risk of like trying to go into like a small company, new studio and stuff. And the guy was like, you're fine. Like we have like backups of like whatever, and like Tencent is behind. Like they really want to have like a presence in like the Western whatever like game world and like stuff. So like you guys are good. Like you can make like whatever you want, and we're gonna ship it no matter what. I worked on that for like 3 months and then canned the project like without even giving it a shot. I was like, cool, thanks guys. Like what you sold me when I had like the interview and everything, it was like total bullshit. And even at the end when I left, like the guy was like, HR dude was like, so would you recommend the company? I was like, fuck no. Like, like you just told me like we're like safe and we're gonna be able to like ship a game and try to do something different, and you just didn't even try, and you just canned, and then like people moved and like everything like that. Like you cannot, because like a lot of time you have to like change like location and everything, so it's like a lot of like pressure and just like thinking just to like change like companies and like stuff, and they don't really give a shit. So I was like getting tired of that, of like being like a little pawn,
having to look for your next gig like as soon as you start a gig, shit like that.
Yeah, not that much, because usually like you still want to try to like ship a game to get like the credits and like stuff like that, if you get the credit. Because like again, at like some companies I worked at, I left before like the game actually shipped, and like my name was not even like in the credits. Like
that's bullshit.
And they just like do that all the time. I'll have like a special thanks like section and be like, well, that guy is there, but you don't really know what he worked on. And like some guys like
I mean, this is the exact reason that like the WGA and SAG-AFTRA exist, is like make sure people get fucking credited on films and shit like that. And that's why it's so wild that the gaming industry is like not really unionized. Like a lot of the voice actors are starting to be, but like nobody else.
I do not get why like the game industry is not unionized like in any way, because like we're getting like fucked like left and right with like overtime and stuff, and it's kind of like the industry like standard. Like a lot of companies, they actually strive on that, like because it's part of who they are. They're like
crunch time.
Yeah, like, and people are excited about crunching and giving their lives away and like stuff. I'm like, how miserable are you that like your job is more important than like family time and like everything? Like it's crazy. But
especially if it can be taken away as easily as you're saying. I could understand killing yourself for your passion project, but the idea of like, oh, I'm killing myself for someone else's mediocre project, and I may not even get anything but financial compensation for it, and not even proper financial compensation for it. That sucks.
Yeah, like again, like like the big project that I worked on, like I did some math and whatever, and like we had like a bonus at the end when we shipped and everything, but that was not even covering like the overtime that we did. So it's like I get like semi-alcoholic by the time, and I get like fucked up carpal tunnel and like everything just for like barely paying my like wages, and we couldn't take like vacation during like the time and like everything, because like, everything is like always like blacked out like dates, and like because we have to do this and like raise that. So it's like it's super not healthy like in like a lot of like,
well, unfortunately a lot of that is just American work culture. I mean, that's why back in the day labor unions rose here, because employers exploited the fuck out of workers here. I mean, I'm sure they did everywhere, but especially here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, like, old school Hollywood, that's why SAG exists. That's why the WGA exists, because old school Hollywood was really exploitive.
Yeah.
And hopefully gaming gets there at some point.
Yeah, but like I said, there's like so many people that want to get in that like it doesn't really matter. Like,
but I mean, it was like that with movies and music too. And
yeah, but
they got there eventually.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's like, that many like new talent. Like there's like so many like 3D school and stuff, because like people are like, well, you can make like good money and stuff, and like there's like thousands of like new like students and stuff like every year that are like coming to the workforce. So like, well, even if they suck, like, you just like throw like 10 of them at the project and like you're good to go. Like another thing that's like super fucked up, like that I think that not a lot of people are talking about, is like how it's kind of like screwing as well like the US workers. Because I had like some buddies of mine that were like not hired like full time because they were like citizen. So there was no point for like the company to actually give them like benefits. So they were just like contracts and just be like, you work on the game for like 8 months and then like you're gone, and you don't have like like as good of like a health insurance, and like all the like the bonus are like gone and whatever. So they were like hiring like kind of like us, like foreign people, and giving them visa on like a lower price, because like, hey, you know what, like we're sponsoring your green card and we're doing like this visa for you, so like we pay you less but you have more security, and then screwing up like all your like buddies that they're like, oh, but you don't need like stuff like they do, so like you have like a short end of the stick as well. So it's like super exploitive in like that way.
Holy shit, I never even thought about that. Like, because I go out for audio gigs and shit like that, and almost everyone like, do you need to be sponsored to work in the States? And I'm like, no. And I don't hear back from a bunch of them. I never even thought about that. Like, no, they're specifically looking for people to sponsor so they can pay them. Like, wow, that's fucking wild.
Yeah, I mean, like when I got hired, like here, like for the very first time, I still had like 3 years of experience, like working at like game companies in France and like stuff like that, and like doing other gigs or like freelancing. And my entry rate like here was lower than like a fresh out of school like person. But I was like, oh my God, it's great. Like I'm in the US and everything. And like, I mean, it was still like a great like opportunity and chance, because like it's a pain in the ass to come here and like work and be sponsored and everything, because it takes like fucking forever. Like I got like that gig, I was hired like I think in March or something. And then it took until like October with like all the lawyers and like stuff to just secure my paperwork and like come to the US. And I would have never been able to like do that on my own, because like you have to like, I had like a pile of like papers like this big with like stuff that I did, and we even like bullshitted like our way through like stuff. Just like told the buddies to be like, hey, I worked for you for like 6 months, to just like bump my resume a little bit. But yeah, it's like an insane process, and now it's even harder. So
this used to be a country where pretty much just like, come to America, we will take you. And now it's insanely hard. And what's also wild is, if you're an uneducated American on paper, nowhere else in the world wants you.
Yeah, I don't really know how that works for like the kind of like exporting like Americans to like France or like stuff like that.
The European Union does not want Americans, like, unless you have a college degree and you're going to be filling a job that can't be filled by a national of that country.
Yeah, I mean, like in Europe, it's super easy to like hire anybody from Europe, like, and we have like tons of like way cheaper like workforce from like Eastern Europe and all that kind of stuff. So like they go for that like first for sure.
But even if like you want to try to go to Europe on like a work visa without a job lined up, or an artist visa or shit like that, they're just like, you got a college degree? No, sorry, we don't fucking want you.
Well, that's kind of like the same like here, like you, I remember there's like a system of like points or like something like that works here, and like, so you had to have like experience and then like a school, which was kind of funny because like I did like 3 years of like 3D specialty school in France, but it counted as like maybe one as like the equivalent of like the US one. So I was like, so I had to have like those like years of like school, and then like on top of that like 3 years of like experience to even like think that you could just like get a job. Like, so it was like really complicated, like just to do that.
It's absolutely crazy. It's like,
but the price of schools in France are like so much better than like in the US. Like I would be like completely in debt. Like
most Americans that go to college are.
I know, it's like, it's insane. Like to tell you, like I did like 3 years of like post like high schools, like whatever, like studies, and I only had to do like a 15,000 euro loan to like do those 3 years.
Yeah.
And that would be like here for like the 3D school is like maybe like 6 months or something. Like, and I did like 3 years, and I had like as good of an education as like coming out of those like schools here. So
even like a state school with in-state tuition is going to cost you tens of, I don't even know. Actually, I honestly don't even know how much like going to UCLA costs if you're a California resident.
Yeah. And those are ridiculous. And my school was not like cheap, like as well, which is like,
UCLA is actually not insane. The in-state tuition is only $13,000 a year. So, 52,000, but still 52,000 for 4 years for a state school.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
176,000 for out-of-state students. Like, If you're trying to go to UCLA and you don't live in fucking California, that's the cost of a house in some parts of America. You may not even end up working in your chosen field. I know so many people that have degrees and are not working in their chosen field.
Yeah, no, it's like, that's insane. Like, a buddy of mine, like, we had the exact same job and same age and everything. And yeah, he couldn't, like, he was still paying his, like, student debt. And I was like, dude, like, I did that, like, you know, within the first years of, like, working, like, just because, like, 15,000, like, in comparison to, like, whatever you guys have to pay is, like, much, much, much easier. And, like, there's, like, still, like, help aids, like, not aids,
scholarships,
like,
or
yeah, like, government program after, like, when you start to, like, work, like, they were helping, like, paying, like, for, like, my rent for, like, I don't know, like, 2 years or something. Like,
yeah, we ain't got that.
Yeah, I think, like, my rent was, like, 550 euros or whatever. And the government was paying like 250 for it, like for like 2 years to just like help people get started in life, which was like amazing because like when you start and you don't have like that much money or like anything and you have to like pay like back your like student loans and stuff, like that's like a huge help, like put like food on the table and everything.
That just doesn't happen here.
Yeah, no.
And good luck finding rent anywhere in the States for what? 550 euros would be like maybe 700 US, 800 US a month.
Yeah,
good luck finding rent anywhere that you want to live for that kind of money.
Yeah, and I had like a sweet little like 15th century like apartment, like there's like great like walls that were like built when like people probably get decapitated in the street and stuff. Like that's gorgeous. Like it was really fun.
Where in France were you after school?
So I was in Grenoble, which is like near Italy and Switzerland. That's kind of what I always say is like putting on the map there. And after school, like my first job was in Lyon. It's like beautiful city as well, like now like a couple 100 kilometers away or like 70 miles.
Yeah, you have to do the breakdown. We're mostly an American audience and people are kilometers, what are... Because for whatever reason, we're still on fucking miles, pounds, and...
Well, but since I moved to LA, I switched to like time. Because, you know, you don't count as like, oh, like San Diego is like, oh, like 100 miles away or whatever. It's like it takes you like 3 hours or like 6 in traffic.
Or
like,
yeah, if you're lucky. Yeah, Vegas is only like 200-something miles, and it could be 3.5, 4 hours, or it could be 15.
Yeah, so that's kind of like how I like do all my like distance traveling now. It's just like based on like time and not like distance.
It's a solid move.
Yeah. Then I went like a little bit in Belgium, but it's kind of fun, like small gig and like stuff. And then I moved to like Canada for like 6 months, like because like Canada is kind of like the go-to place when you're like French, like, and you want to like break into like the game industry, because like Montreal especially, they still speak French and they speak like English as well. And it's like a good like entry point of like kind of like the American way of life and like everything. So I tried to go there, and actually I tricked like the first company that I worked at in the US because they thought I was Canadian, and like the visa is much easier to get. And they were like, oh yeah, you're hired. And I was like, oh fuck, you're French. So like I had to do like tons of like other like paperwork and like everything, but I was cheap enough that they kept like pushing for it. So like been lucky like that.
Good thing they weren't like, oh, you're French, fuck you then.
Yeah, no, I was like, I could have sued them. Maybe that would have been better.
Probably in the States, probably not. And you're like, I'm at will employment. Sorry. Or, you know, there was added costs that we didn't figure into your employment. Sorry, we're not hiring you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was like freaking out for like the longest time, because I was like every day I was like thinking like they're gonna pull the plug, like, because yeah, there was like 6 months. I'm like, I would not have waited 6 months for me just like to like come to your studio and be like, that's ridiculous.
Was California where you landed first, or did you end up somewhere else in the States?
Oh yeah, no, California was like, since I moved like to the US, that's like where I landed, like, and I did like a little bit of like stint like in the Bay Area for like 2 years, something like that. And then I came back like to LA because like the girlfriend was like here, so I was like, that's like a pain in the ass to just like go to the airport like every like month and whatever, and try to like spend like a weekend and have like some fun. And it was like, yeah, it was like painful. So.
Yeah, that sucks to make it work. Long distance is just garbage.
Yeah, and it was not that long because like original girlfriend was from France, and that was long.
Oh,
distance.
So you left a girlfriend in France when you came to
yeah,
Canada,
but that was like kind of like it started as like, you know, like a small like 3 month like kind of thing, and we're like oh, let's try and whatever. And those kind of like fun at the beginning. I was just like, oh, we're gonna see each other for like a vacation and stuff. It was miserable. Like,
Yeah, I can imagine.
yeah,
Were there a bunch of jealousy issues? Was she worried about you doing shit in the States, or?
I was worrying about her doing shit.
Oh, were you?
A little bit. I mean, like, I'm a pretty chill guy, and like, I was like fine with like the situation. Like, and I knew that I was like gonna see her again, so like, I didn't had like too much of like, oh my god, I miss her and like stuff, kind of like that. Like, I was like, I don't need as much hugs, I guess, as like she needed. So I was like, I'm good. But yeah, I can understand it was like hard for like somebody that needs like more attention and that kind of stuff. Because like Skype and like shit can only do so much. Like,
You're just not there. I mean, at the end of the day, our relationship is about being like there for the person.
yeah, and I mean, like, even for me, it was miserable because like the time difference in France was like 9 hours. So like I was waiting for her to just like wake up so we can talk. So I was like kind of like cannibalizing my whole day of just like be able to like talk to somebody. And like, so yeah, I didn't really had a like real life like until like, yeah, like we broke up. And then I was like, oh shit, like I can actually go to the beach and like do some cool stuff that like California is offering. Like,
Did you break up with her? Did she break up with you?
she did. I was sad.
Did she just say she wasn't getting enough attention, or?
Yeah, I was just like, yeah, she needed like somebody there. Like, I mean, I was like, okay, like now I'm like much more like emotionally detached, like maybe or whatever. So I was like, yeah, I was fine with the situation, and she was not. So
Did you ever give any thought of like going back to France for her? Or?
no, like, I mean, that would have been like a stupid move. Like,
Well, I agree, but it doesn't mean that.
I mean, I've thought about it, and I'm like, dude, I worked so hard for like so many years to just be able to like secure a visa and stuff. Like, if I go back for like that and like something that, yeah, was probably not worth it. I mean, we're like fighting all the time and shit. So like she was not the right one. Like,
Obviously.
like now it's like amazing. And so it was like, okay, yeah, that was like she did the right move, like to like move away and everything. But yeah, no, I was like thinking about it. And I was like, I cannot leave all that behind because it took like so much of like my time, my like energy and like everything, like to just like give it up and maybe not have that opportunity to like come back and like even like work again. Like,
Did she ever give any thought about trying to come to the States with you?
yeah, I mean, we were like talking about it, but it's like a pain in the ass to like do. Like, the only way somebody like us would have like worked if we got married. Because like if she came and like she would have been on like a just like because we're not married, like just like on a basic
visa.
like tourism visa, you cannot do anything. It's awful for like both parties. Like, she can come, but she cannot do shit, so she's got to stay home. I mean, it's like fine to like play video games all day, but like, yeah, like, so I had a friend who had like his girlfriend, same thing, like they got married like shotgun wedding in like Vegas, like real quick, so she can like come, but like, yeah, she could not really do anything like else. So like, just for like visa problems, like I went back to France to like talk to like some students and stuff. Like, there's gonna be a problem. Like, if you like have your girlfriend coming, like she really cannot do anything. Like, and she would need
She can't
to
do anything legally. She
Yeah.
can definitely go sell drugs.
She can, but that was not the type of girl that would do that. Like, she would get ripped off.
Don't want to marry a girl who's going to get ripped off as a drug dealer.
Yeah, and I mean, like, dude, like the weed here is like on another level. Like, we have like stuff, and it's like not even funny. Like,
As someone who's old enough to experience pre-legal weed and legal weed, like, yeah, the evolution's been wild.
especially in France, like we, like, unless like you knew some people that are like, you know, like growing and stuff like at home, like you get like what we call like the shit, which is literally just like that like paste that's like cut with like whatever. That stuff is weak as fuck. Like, doesn't do anything.
I'm surprised you guys aren't like getting weed from like people smuggling it out of the Netherlands or something.
Yeah, no, weirdly, like we had most of our stuff coming from like North like Africa, like, but yeah, it's not the good stuff at all.
Yeah, and it makes sense why everyone gets so fucking crazy in Amsterdam.
Yeah, I mean, you go there just for like have fun and like stuff. Like, and it's like one thing that I'm like kind of like regretting, because like when I was like in France, like I never really traveled that much, even if like everything is like super close by. Like, like I was saying, like with like the time and distance, like it's like completely different. Like you go to like south of France for like the big summer vacation, and it's only like let me do some math, like about like 200 miles away.
Yeah.
And you do that once a year. And like here, like we go with my girlfriend in like San Diego, like sometimes just because like, oh, they're like fucking good. And it's like, let's go for like a weekend. And yeah, like we've been traveling like way more in like long distance. And like I have friends that are like living like an hour away in France that like I only saw like once in a while because like it's really far. Like,
and you guys have public transportation infrastructure to actually get around.
Yeah, like, but it's much more expensive. Like the freeway stuff is really bad. Like,
yeah, but you have trains
on strike.
Are they right now?
Probably. I mean, I don't know, but like the last time I went back to France, like even if there's like trains and everything, that was like during like Christmas, like holiday time. I was like, fuck it, I'm renting a car because like I went from Paris to like back to my home. Like I did not want to use like the train system and whatever because yeah, they always on strike when there's like vacation and like stuff like that. It's like it's awful. Like I hate it. Like
my only real experience with trains in Europe was going from like the Mediterranean coast in Spain up to Madrid. And that was fine.
Yeah, I mean, like short leg stuff or like even like city transportation is like amazing.
Yeah, like I've taken the tube in London. I took the metro in Paris. I took whatever the subway system is in Madrid, and that was all fine. But like trains that going from Alicante to Madrid was all I've done in Europe. Yeah, and like took the subway in Munich also, and the trains in Amsterdam. Yeah, I've taken trains in almost every European city I've been to.
Oh, good for you.
Because Ubers generally suck there, and cabs try to take advantage of fucking foreign tourists.
Oh yeah, and we had like a big like cab strike or something because yeah, they were like fuck Uber and like everything like that. So
well, that's rightfully so. Fuck Uber. I mean, they're not a good company.
Yeah, but the taxi are like shitty as well. So it's like
dead.
And for the people, like just like being able to like summon a car on your phone and like pick you up and like everything is like much better than like.
Well, yeah, the end product ends up being better. Uber is a shitty predatory company.
Yeah. I mean, I don't use them, but
they are. They absolutely are. They're exploitive. They're really, I mean, both them and Lyft are shitty companies. If the fucking idiot cabs had just developed an app where they'd show up when you called them, none of us would be in this situation now. Like, that's, honestly, people would have paid whatever for fucking cabs if they just showed up. That was the biggest issue with cabs, at least in the States, was not only were they expensive, they might not fucking show up when you called one.
Yeah, I never experienced that. Man.
Seriously, you would call a cab, you'd have to call a dispatcher, talk to someone, order a cab, and then they might show up.
I'll take European transportation then.
Yeah. Dude, fucking nightmare. There's a reason like everyone's like, oh, I hit this button, some asshole in a fucking Prius shows up, perfect. Europe does a lot of things better than the States.
I mean, our cities are like much more walkable and like everything. Like, I mean, I was like kind of like comparing kind of like Santa Monica to like Paris and like stuff, just like the LA area. And like, yeah, like Santa Monica, just like that part of town is as big as Paris.
No, Paris has got to be bigger than that.
Like like we call like intramuros Paris, like the Paris like center is teeny tiny. Like everything is like super squished together and like everything is not that big. Like, and so yeah, like here the thing takes fucking forever to like go to point A to point B. Like you can walk like Paris and go like, I mean, that's what we did like last time when we went. Like we barely used like the subway and like everything. Just like
the one time I went, I was there for a long layover. Literally got out of the airport, took the metro to somewhere near Notre Dame, and just started walking and getting drunk in cafes. And then made it back on the metro, back to the airport, went to the Sky Lounge, took a shower, got on a plane.
Well, next time just spend a little more time.
I plan to at some point. But it was one of those things where like me and a buddy were flying to South Africa, so we took like a 14-hour layover in Paris.
I would recommend if you next time you go, there's like something called like the Museum of Anatomie Comparée. It's like the anatomy museum, and they have like tons of like bones and like stuff. Like we're like super into bones, and it's like
I'd love to see the catacombs too.
Yes. Like, okay, so this is that, but as like kind of like a scientific display, and it's just like a museum with like thousands of like articulated skeleton and like stuff like that. It's like gorgeous. And yeah, like I can't really describe it how like mind-blowing it is, because they have like just like dog species, and it's like 20 of them, and you can just like see all the differences and like stuff like that.
The evolution of them. And
like the same one, but like stuff like dating from like the 18th century and like stuff in like old as jars and like stuff. It's like, yeah, I've never seen that like somewhere else. And even like what they have like sections like the like natural history museum part, which is like amazing as well, because it's kind of like you go to a museum of a museum, because like the stuff that they have is so old that it still displayed as what they thought the scientific accuracy was. So they have like a big ass T-Rex, but he looks like Barney.
Right.
Because he's still like dragging on the ground and like everything. So it's just like completely wrong, but it like puts you in kind of like that like mindset of like, this is what they thought like it looked like and like everything. So it's just like super interesting to like see like the evolution of just like the scientific mind and like all that kind of stuff, and like how like bones and like whatever like evolved, and like, yeah, it's really cool.
Nice.
And you can eat some really good stuff too. So
all the food I had in Paris for the one day I was there was real good.
Yep.
And that is one thing the French do very well, is fucking food.
And pastries is my like, that's the stuff that I miss the most like here. So I became kind of like a chef like since I like moved here, because I'm like I kind of find like the food. So now I'm like spending like insane amount of money try to make like the cakes that I used to buy for like nothing. But it's like the big like awesome treat for like a birthday or whatever. It's like try to replicate that, and like I get real mad as well and like really passionate. So it's like it's an interesting weekend like most of the time.
What's your thoughts on American food, by the way?
I mean, there's some good stuff. Like,
nothing comes to mind.
Well, no, there's like some like good like fusion stuff that like I never tried. Actually, like American food, I don't know if I would say like it's like the best or whatever, but here I discovered like Korean barbecue, and I just like blew my mind. Like,
Korean barbecue is absolutely fucking amazing.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's like, like we were asking like American food, but like something that I discovered in the US that we don't have in France, and I was like, holy shit, those are like flavors that I never had. It's kind of like, yeah, like my new favorite like go-to like kind of like thing. Like all the sauces and stuff is just like ridiculous.
Oh, I want to go to Korea just to see what it's like in the, actually in Korea.
Probably different.
But it's so probably amazing. Like, I've been to Japan twice, and like I've definitely gone out for teppanyaki in Tokyo, and it's like, oh, this is different, but this is phenomenal.
Yeah. So yeah, like for that, like there's like stuff that like I discovered like barbecues. Like we went to Texas as well, and like yeah, like for like the American version of it is like awesome. And
do the French have like something like barbecue? Do they?
It's kind of funny because like we barbecue a lot like during summer and stuff, but like it's not like here like a staple when you have to like the barbecue sauce and like stuff. We have our own like kind of like herbs and like stuff, but like there's not like real like French style like barbecue. I'm still trying to find like fucking chipolata. It's like sausages that are made with like porks and whatever. They are like completely different than like anything that you can buy here. And I've never been able to even like replicate like the taste or just like find like a shop that does them like properly.
Not even like in Montreal or?
Nah, Montreal, they get like the poutine and that's pretty much it. It's like good like drunk food late at night, like coming back and it's like super cold and you get that like weird like cheesy.
Oh, poutine's amazing.
I thought it was going to be better, actually.
It's
good drunk food.
It is definitely good drunk food. There used to be a couple blocks around Smokes Poutine, like an actual Smokes in Hollywood, and I'm like, oh, this is actually Canadian poutine. I'm like, I've had better poutine in just American bars. This is weird. I mean, it wasn't bad, but I was just like, I don't know. The gravy just seemed a little off compared to like the American take I've had on it.
Yeah, I mean, like for what it is, like like gravy and like curds and like fries or whatever, like we have like the fancier version in France, which was like much better. It's called like the raclette kind of thing, and like you can make it like here, like super easily, pretty cheap as well, like ish. If you find like a good like cheese like store, you can find like the raclette cheese. All you need is just like some potatoes and like some French style like cornichon pickles, like small like pickles. And yeah, you go with that and like a little bit of like prosciutto and all kind of like Italian like kind of like charcuterie like kind of like thing, and it's like it's gorgeous.
Oh, that sounds real good. I'm now very hungry.
Yes, like a little salad on the side, a little like white wine. But yeah, and I mean it's like kind of like the thing that I enjoy like actually when I came to the US is like because my girlfriend like is like American. I'm making her discover like a lot of stuff because like I cook pretty well, like I would say, like a good chef. And yeah, like so like I try on purpose to just like make her discover like stuff that she never had like before. And it's like amazing. Like sometimes I make food and I just like look at her and just like see how she reacts, and it's like always like fun to just be like seeing her discover like new flavors and like stuff that she never had, even if you can make it like here like fairly easily.
Is our bread too sweet to you?
The bread is awful. Like the bread is not crunchy enough. Like, you know, like I always say, like, you know, in Ratatouille when he like grabs it and just like put it into his ears and like cracks it. This is correct. This is like the most like accurate depiction of like finding like a good bread like in a store. You know, you go for it. If you can hear like the crust like crack and like everything, it's like that's gonna be a good bread. And can't find it here, like at all. So, yeah, bread is shit. So if you warm it up, put it in the oven, it's like good enough. But yeah, I haven't found like anything. But I'm like really, really picky on bread. So like I'm like a bad like judgment on like anything. Like even in France, like most of brands are shit. Like they're like frozen and whatever. And I only find like one really great bakery that was like doing them like perfectly. Like there's like it's passable, like can eat it, but it's not the best.
It's ridiculous.
And sourdough, fuck sourdough.
What's wrong with sourdough?
Just putting it out there.
What's wrong with sourdough?
I don't know. It doesn't make sense. Like why?
I like sourdough quite a bit, thank you.
I know some people like it and people eat it. It's fine. But why?
Because it's delicious?
It's like one of those things I was like, I don't get it. Like, it should not taste like fermented, like spicy bread or something. Like,
I don't know. I like it. I like it quite a bit. It makes really good French toast, what do they even call French toast in France? Do they make French toast in France?
It's called toast. No, it's called actually pain perdu. And most of the time you have to do it with like old bread that like, you know, it's been kind of like stale and like, you know, you see when it's getting like kind of like white like parts and whatnot. That's when you make like the French toast. It's like old bread that you had left over that kind of like dried out and it's kind of like getting shittier, and then it's like, well, you know what? I'm gonna make it like smooth by like putting butter and milk and eggs and stuff, and now it's edible again. But yeah, it's like I think like French toast here is like much like a bigger thing than like way back home. Like nobody eats like French toast like just in a restaurant or like something.
We definitely do here because I mean it's not a giant pain in the ass to make, but it is a bit of a pain in the ass to make.
Okay, if that's a pain in the ass to make, I'm sorry for your culinary skills.
Yep, I'm pretty basic, but I make steaks for the most part.
I mean, a good steak. Like I tried like dry aged steak like fairly recently.
Did you try to age it yourself or?
No, just like went to like butcher shop and get one that was like super old and whatever. And it's like, okay, so that like blew my mind. Like, and the cuts are different than the cuts in France as well, which is like, yeah, like a butcher shop is like one of the difference between like the two. Like we don't do like butcher like the same way. Because I guess like the, you know, because of like the mad cow disease and like stuff, like they do not do T-bones.
Really?
Yeah, because like you cut like the spine or whatever like in half or like the bones, And so like the marrow can like leak into like the actual meat. So like you can ask like a butcher to just do that cut for you if he's like good and you know him.
And you know the cow and...
Yeah, like pretty much just like know his name and like social security and like everything. And like then you're good to go. But other than that, like, yeah, like you will not find that like at like a store or something.
So do they not do like fillets and New York strips? Because that's the two sides of a T-bone.
Well, they might do it because
But they
like
just
separate.
cut around the bone?
Yeah, it's like separate. But like the thing where you like cut the bone in the middle, so it's like you have like the bone marrow in the steak, like that's like a big no-no. Like, so when my dad came here and like had it, and he asked his like butcher, and it's like oh, we don't do that here.
Well, and you want to do a porterhouse versus a T-bone anyways.
Yeah, I'm a ribeye guy.
Well, if you're going to do that cut, I'm just saying, because do you know the difference between a T-bone and a porterhouse?
I'm not sure.
So the only difference between a T-bone and a porterhouse is how much of the fillet is on one side. Like, at certain percentage of, if the fillet is certain small, then it's a T-bone. If it is X amount of size large, which I couldn't tell you the numbers off the top of my head, then it's a porterhouse.
Gotcha.
So you get more fillet with the...
But yeah, I like my like just more fatty.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, yeah, like...
A good marbled ribeye? Like...
Yeah, that's not like my birthday gift. Like now, like every time we go there now and just like spend like $70 on like just like a steak, and I just like freak the fuck out for like an hour when I cook it at home to not like mess it up, and it's like so good.
Have you been to any of like the steakhouses where they do the big tomahawk ribeye with the giant rib bone off of it?
No, I feel like that kind of stuff is like kind of like gimmicky.
Often the steakhouses that do them, it's a little gimmicky, but they're really good steaks.
Yeah, I don't know. Like so far, I haven't really. Okay, because again, like I'm kind of like foodie, and like we cook like a lot at home and stuff. Like I've been disappointed by like a lot of restaurants that I go to, especially French restaurant here. Like we went to one and like. Yeah, like the waiter was like all like snarky and just be like trying to like be French, but like the food was disgusting. I was like, what is this? Like I can do much better at home for like a third of the price. So like now I spend most of my time to like try to find like a recipe and just like do it at home and like try to own it and just be like, all right, and now get like sense of pride and like trying to like make something is like much more fun too.
I totally get it. My culinary skills are just okay, and I'm too busy to like really be. I generally just cook very simple things for myself, and I really should be better about it, but I'm not.
Well, you should. I mean, one day, like I think it's like one of my highlights of like my health, like kind of like journey or whatever. We're like a game company, and they had like a health screening thing, and like I did like the blood test and everything. They were like, "What the fuck?" Like I was healthier than like. Most of like everybody at the company, because I was just like cooking everything myself and like stuff like, are you eating like a lot of vegetables and stuff? I was like, I don't know, like don't do takeout. I just like make my own stuff. It was like great. So like it's good to have that like, little like approval of like what I was like doing was at least like something good.
My blood probably looks like the gravy you put on poutine if you prick me. Is what it is. But Max, it's actually about that time. We're going to call last call. We're going to get you out of here. We're going to have this for 2 hours already, believe it or not.
Damn. No, it didn't feel like it.
Well, that's the goal. Where can my audience find you? Where can we find the toys? Where can we find everything?
All right. So you can find the toys on etsy.com/shop/dilgo, DILGO, because like it's a dildo, but not like quite. So Dilgo. That's the name of the company, and we are like on Twitter as well at like Dilgo_toys, and like it's pretty much like it. Like yeah, like Instagram as well. Not much like following, but like Twitter is like where it's at. Like where we put like
I can't imagine you can post all the toys on Instagram safely.
Yeah, but like Instagram is getting weird. Like we started and it's just like full of bots. Like we have like weird dudes just be like promote this like here and there. So it's like we're thinking of just like giving up on it, and like because the crowd and like the people that we talk to like interact like the most are on Twitter. So yeah, like at Dilgo Toys on Twitter, that's like the place to be.
Hell yeah. And as always, you can find me at Matt_Slayer on Twitter, Matt Slayer on Instagram, Matt F. and Slayer on Facebook, twitch.tv/Matt F. and Slayer. You can find the Patreon where probably half this episode is going to end up, because Boy, I don't know how much I'm going to have to censor for YouTube. But if you want to see the uncensored version, go to patreon.com/MattSlayer. Support the show. You can find the podcast at And Now We Drink on Twitter and Now We Drink _ on Instagram. And until next week, drink up, motherfuckers.